All right, Cowboys Nation, it's that time. Take out your pens, take out your notepads. Let's get ready to head into the scientific method with my guy, Patrik, No C. Walker. Good morning, good brother.
What's it, my friend?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited for this matchup, and I'm excited for some science, and I know you're about to drop and give us.
Hey, we do. We come to give the people what they need, what they require, which is just the straight-up fact, shoot straight down the middle, bullseye every time.
Facts over feelings. I love that. So,
that's how it got to be.
As we usually do, Pat, can you give us an update on the practice report coming out of yesterday's practice? Was it a walkthrough or was it a real practice this time?
Yesterday was actually a real practice.
Okay.
It was a full practice. The Cowboys are back to their normal schedule, obviously, after 3 games in 11 days. Had that mini bye week to kind of enjoy, but now everything's back on track as far as Wednesday being a full practice, Thursday being a full ramp-up practice from Wednesday, then kind of going from there, mock game, walk through Friday, Saturday. But obviously, goes without saying that the major headline coming out of here yesterday was Mike McCarthy.
Yes.
So Mike McCarthy showed up to the facility with some abdominal pain. He was doing his best to tough through it. And he went into one of his meetings, and Bones and Dan Quinn, a couple other guys, told him he didn't look so hot. And he explained to them he was having some abdominal pain. And, Dak Prescott thought that maybe it was a little bit of a stomach bug. But they advised him to go get it checked out, and so he did. Turns out he had acute appendicitis. A little bit of a scare there, but they did catch it before we got to the worst-case scenario. He underwent surgery yesterday, and I'm told that he's home and recovering right now. He's expected to coach versus the Eagles. We don't know yet if it'll be in the box or on the sideline, but if McCarthy's character is any indication, and what Dan Quinn said yesterday, you think this tough Irishman is going to miss this game? I think McCarthy's on the sideline because I think that he wants to show that kind of resiliency to his team, to give his team that added oomph to say, hey, man, if Coach can have surgery on Wednesday and still be out here on the sideline with us on Sunday, like there's no excuse for us to not go out here and kick some ass. So that's obviously the headline. As far as the injuries for players, nothing too crazy. We had the transaction that came down to the wire. Peyton Hendershot has been activated to the 53-man roster. That saved him from season-ending IR. So he's in. Sean McEwen is to IR. I was told yesterday that McEwen is an ankle injury. You can put air quotes around it if you like. That's up to you. Rico Dowdle still nursing the ankle. He was limited. No worries there. And mostly everyone else was a rest day. It's a veteran rest day for a lot of these guys. Matt Willett's also a transaction. His 21-day practice window with his shoulder was activated yesterday. So the Cowboys will fill him out over the next 3 weeks, and if he's good to go and it turns out they need him to return for OL depth, then they have that option. If not, then they'll probably leave him where he is and see him next year.
Anytime I see NIR rest DNP for Tyron, I just smile. Because this dude, when he gets that rest, man, he plays out his mind.
It's so phenomenal to witness. I don't think people understand. Well, people who played team sports or just any type of sport, they understand that when it comes to practice, you might not like it, but it's kind of required in order for you to be exceptional at what you do. And then you see a guy like Tyron. Now, obviously, he's already built Hall of Fame career to this point, and a lot of that involved him being at practice. But the fact that he can be at this age, over the event horizon of 30, with his injury history, not practicing at all, and then going out there on a weekly basis, and the metrics will show that he right now is the best tackle in football. That is unreal. So, yeah, the cyborg is everything's going according to plan, man. So keep him off the practice field. Yeah, keep him off the practice field. And still, man, they're going to mess around. They're going to mess around, the Cowboys are, and add like 2 years to this guy's career just by not letting him practice.
I wish that, I don't want to go back, but I wish we would have figured this out 2-3 years ago, man. I just do. But
I know,
we're here now.
I know. What can you do?
Exactly.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So.
Right. All right, so let's get to this game real quick, and specifically, I want to talk a little bit about on this defensive side of the ball. And I happened to just kind of was thinking about this morning, actually, about Jalen Hurts returning back to Dallas for the first time since 2021, where he didn't have a great game against the Cowboys. He had threw 2 interceptions. If y'all remember the pick six, the Cowboys demolished the Eagles at the crib. But the last 2 games, he's 2-0, but I think the Cowboys have played him pretty decently. He's been sacked 7 times, averaging less than 200 yards per passing. But here's the problem. They haven't gotten any turnovers, Pat. 4 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. And with the Cowboys coming off one of their worst defensive games of the season, I would hope they're pissed off, rested, and looking forward to bounce back. But I'm curious on your level of concern against this offense. And maybe, do you think it was the 3 games in 12 days, or is this legitimately something to be concerned about moving forward?
I think it was the 3 games in 11, 12 days. I mean, look at it from the aspect of if you're a defender and you're chasing around, look at who you were chasing around as well, especially in that 3rd game. I mean, you had DK Metcalf on one side, Tyler Lockett, which is, more pure speed on the other side, and then guess who was operating in the middle? Jackson Smith and Jigba. So he's quick, he's shifty, he's fast. So you're chasing those guys around, and then Geno Smith, the pressure was there, and I cannot credit Geno Smith enough. He was getting that ball out faster than Barry Allen could get to the Starbucks and back. I mean, it was
Big belly burger
unbelievable I'm telling you, it was unbelievable how quickly Geno Smith was getting that ball out, and kudos to him for being able to do so. But the pressure was there, but I say all of that to say, I mean, for the most part, you had to expect there would be some type of turn down, and not mentally, but physically, because 3 games, 11, 12 days, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then, Thanksgiving is what jumped it off, right? But look at who they played on Thanksgiving as far as the defense is concerned. Sam Howell in that offense with McLaurin and those guys, Jahan Dotson and Logan Thomas, like those guys can put up points. So you're talking about 3 games in 11 or 12 days against some potent offensive firepower. Of course, by the time you get to the end of that stretch, you're going to be tired. So this mini bye week should do them very well as far as rest is concerned. And I don't see the Cowboys defense. We've not seen it this year or last year or in the Dan Quinn era. We've not seen them have 2 bad days at the office in a row, right? So especially when 2 of those bad days will come at home where they are normally dominant. So I think they'll have a great bounce back here. And then when you look at what they did against Philly only escaped by 5 points at Lincoln Financial Field. And one of those touchdowns was just a perfect throw to Devontae Smith down the deep left. Bland couldn't have played that better. Nobody could have played that better. That was a touchdown no matter what. So kudos to Jalen for being able to make that throw. But they held – that was the biggest play of the game for them.
Yeah.
That was the majority of the, less than 50 yards for Devontae Smith, less than 65 yards for A.J. Brown. I mean, this Eagles offense, while it has a ton of firepower, this Cowboys defense has shown that it can slow it down. And as far as getting takeaways are concerned, still, I think that's a little bit if you just look at the stat line, you'd say, okay, well, no takeaways. You got to improve on that. And I agree. I do agree. But if you go back and you look at the Philadelphia film,
opportunities,
the ball just needed to bounce. Yeah, the ball just needed to bounce the other way. Sam Williams on that first Philly drive, strip sack, fumble, ball goes right back to Jalen Hurts. Later in the game, DeAndre Swift fumbled, ball goes right back to DeAndre Swift. So they forced potential takeaways, but the football guys just were not having it right. So what they need to do this game is exactly what they did last game, and the rest is just the rest. You can only hope that the fumble bounces your way, but keep getting back there. They were pressuring Hurts. They were getting hands on him. They were forcing fumbles. You just got to try to hope that you are in a position to recover it.
Yeah, it's so weird when you look at watch the game. It feels the same way if you look at the box score, right? You held them to 3.3 yards per carry. When you watch the game, it felt like, hey, you did really good against them on the ground. You see A.J. Brown finishes with 60-some yards. Devontae Smith only 51 yards. When you watch the game, you're like, yeah, they didn't really kill you except, like you said, that one explosive play. I thought they played them fairly well, but they just had to come away with those turnovers, or they had to get them off the field in those first 3 quarters. Now, they did that in the fourth quarter, but they didn't do that in the first 3, and that's something that Dan Quinn was talking about, is getting off the field on third down and making sure you get those turnovers. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Cowboys are on like a 4 or 5 game streak, might even be more, of actually turning the ball over at home. So they do that at a higher clip at the crib than they do on the road.
They absolutely do, and that goes to what I was saying is I just don't see the Cowboys defense having a bad day at the office 2 games in a row, especially when both of those games are at AT&T Stadium. I don't see it. And when you also factor in going back and looking at the Week 9 victory by the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, how close were the Cowboys to taking that win? A knee by Schoonmaker, Dak Prescott stepping out of bounds instead of turning upfield. I mean, it was a false start on the potential game-winning drive that then turns it into, a much longer situation on downs and distance. So the Cowboys could have won that game, and that was in hostile territory. Nothing is going to convince me that the Cowboys can't take this game, and potentially convincingly. Now, that's not to say the Eagles aren't going to put up a fight. They most certainly are, especially after getting their asses whooped last week. This could be a back alley brawl, but when you look at it from a defensive standpoint, the Cowboys already have the formula. They just need the ball to bounce their way when you get a strip fumble like Sam Williams did. When you force a fumble or DeAndre Swift puts the church's money on the ground like he did, you just need those to bounce in your favor. And hopefully when you're at home, it does bounce in your favor. And then, get at least 1, hopefully 2 interceptions from Jalen Hurts, because we know he'll put it up there under pressure, 10 interceptions this season. So he'll fumble, he'll throw the ball away, but you have to force him to do that. And I think the Cowboys are rested and also quiet as it's kept. It hasn't been said this week, which is weird, I guess, because it's not the Cowboys, it's the Eagles that just played the 49ers. But remember, folks, teams that play the 49ers don't do well the week after.
Yeah, I heard a statistic where a team that played the 49ers has not beaten a division opponent on the road in like the last 4 years or something like that. That's nuts.
It's a crazy stat, but it's true. But
physical team.
Go back and look at the 49. Yeah, go back and look at that 49ers Eagles game. Even in the fourth quarter, when the game was well in hand for San Francisco, they were banging. They were absolutely destroying whoever put the ball in their hands. And that was because they felt away after everything that happened with Big Dom and Greenlaw and then the trash talking ahead of time. And they really wanted to stick it to the Eagles, and they did. So here come the Eagles, battered and bruised and demoralized and humbled off of the 49ers loss. And here come the Cowboys, riding a 4-game win streak, won 6 of their last 7, the only loss being against the Eagles. They're trying to avenge it. They're at home where they've been dominant, 14 straight. The script is kind of writing itself. All the Cowboys have to do, and then, hey, mix in the fact that your coach was on the operating table only a few days earlier, and now he's out there with a headset on. Yeah, go out there and kick some ass, please, and thank you.
And when people bring up, the Eagles are coming off of that ass whooping, right? So they're going to come in wanting to do this and do that and playing with a certain energy. In my head, I'm like, well, every team you play is going to bring that type of energy because you're the Dallas Cowboys. That always happens.
Right.
And it's not like you are coming off of a clean game either. So I think they will match this energy, and I think they always have to go into these games understanding, hey, we're going to get an opponent's best shot every single time. We are their Super Bowl every single time, so we need to match that energy.
Yeah, and they know it, especially when you're talking about Cowboys-Eagles. I mean, the Eagles, they have a Dallas week, right?
Yeah.
Cowboys don't have an Eagles week. Cowboys don't have a Commanders week, a Giants week, or any other week. It's just a week. So the fact that that's a thing in Philadelphia and some of these other cities lets you know that when they play the Cowboys, it's their Super Bowl that week. And the Cowboys are used to that intensity. And I know some are saying, well, and Dallas Goedert is coming back. Well, Dallas Goedert was on the field in Week 9. So it's not like this is going to be a curveball for the Cowboys. It's just par for the course. They had to scheme for Dallas Goedert in that offense in Week 9. And guess what? They got to scheme for him again in Week 14. No big deal. So I guess I say all that to say, and we talked about it, yes, the Eagles have something to prove after being demoralized, but the Cowboys' defense has something to prove after that pass rush at the end by Micah Parsons and that interception by Deron Bland notwithstanding. Of course, Jordan Lewis with those 2 critical third down stops, Tank Armstrong. Without that final stretch in the fourth quarter, if you take that out, the defense had a very bad day.
Yeah.
And they don't want that to be the case again, especially against the Eagles, because they know, number one, what this game means for standings, both in the NFC East and in the NFC, but also what it means for your morale going forward and your self-belief and destroying the narrative that says that keeps moving the goalposts. Because first it was, oh, well, they can't beat a team over 500, but then they beat the Seahawks, and it was arguably the best secondary they faced. They put 41 on their necks, and then it's, oh, well, they're not 500 because they're 6-6. Well, your math ain't math, and they weren't 6-6 when they played. But okay, we'll meet you at the next goalpost, and the next goalpost now is the Eagles. So you beat the Eagles, and there are no questions anymore about your ability to be a contender against anyone not named the San Francisco 49ers, and then you just put a pin in that and see if you meet them again in the playoffs. But go handle this business because there's so much on the line, both tangible and intangible.
100%, man. Hey, Pat, it's Thursday, so that means we get some science. Can you kind of give us a teaser on your Science Lab article coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. Science Lab drops either at 10 a.m. Central Time, no later than 11 a.m., depends on the content that we have going out this morning. But it is on the mothership, DallasCowboys.com. And it's one of my more direct, blunt science labs. You'll get the usual tendencies, some numbers in there, but just tap in and read it, and you'll see what the message is. Because the way I'm feeling this week is, just go kick some ass.
So you basically feeling like
some ass.
You on your heel stuff this week, huh, bro?
Yeah, I'm feeling art. CM Punk is back.
He's back, baby. My God.
So y'all go check out the Science Lab this week, man. It's hopefully you guys enjoy it. I always put my heart into it, no matter what angle I take with it. But this week, you'll get some eye-opening things that I dropped in there. But for the most part, I'm talking straight to the locker room with this message for this week's Science Lab.
All right, man. That's Patrik Walker of DallasCowboys.com. As always, coming through blessing us, with the science. Thank you, brother.
I'll talk to you later, bro.
Yes, sir. Y'all heard the man. He's on his heel-ish. So make sure y'all check out Patrik Walker's Science Lab article later. And if you missed this, right, because some people just jump in here and, damn, I missed the science. All good. Run this thing back. I think we're going to drop it probably Saturday. We usually drop it on Saturdays. Maybe we'll drop it sooner rather than later. Thanks for watching, and make sure to follow and subscribe to A to Z Dallas so you don't miss an episode of The Scientific Method. Every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central on Facebook and YouTube, with every episode available on A to Z Sports.com.